Coming in my freshman year, I was really excited. I had a good conversation with Coach Kat and thought they were really cool, and that was actually one of the reasons that I chose to come to Goucher. Little did I know that things were going to change dramatically.
Things started to feel off before we even started practice.
I feel like my whole life is revolved around how I play at an hour and a half or 2 hour long practice.
It was definitely one of the times that I disliked lacrosse the most. But I assumed it was good coaching.
It just got worse from there.
Well, coming in I was nervous, I think most freshmen. I was really worried that I wasn't going to get along with people, that people weren't going to like me, I wasn't going to make friends. I was worried about the normal coming into college stuff.
We had a big recruiting class, so hopes were really high for the season. Everybody really had high expectations. The coaching staff definitely did. Even the upperclassmen, because for years they could barely field the team, and so now they had this new set of fresh legs that had some good talent as well.
The one thing I wasn't worried about was the coaches, because during the recruiting process, Coach Kat seemed like one of the nicest people ever. I remember telling everyone I was friends with in high school that oh, my college coach is so nice. She's gonna be the perfect coach. She's so understanding, she's so reasonable and so friendly. This is gonna be great.
I was expecting it to be a little more laid back since it is a D3 level sport, but the 5 a.m. practices in the fall definitely weren't laid back.
Looking back at things, there were some red flags that I should have paid attention to.
The expectations and what could come of this season was really high, and so I think that added to why some of the treatment happened.
During fall ball my freshman year, I really didn't think anything very negative towards her. Because I do think there's this, it was a really difficult time, but I do think there's this idea in athletics that well, it's supposed to be hard, and you're supposed to not enjoy it.
We were going through the drill. I just happened to plant my my left leg one way, and I shifted to go the other way, but it didn't follow through because I ended up just cracking and falling down. So Elizabeth kind of jolted. She did one of those boom boom moves, and it was really good. She juked me out, and I just fell down, and I heard the pop, and everybody heard the pop. I'm even sure that the coach at the time did too, but they kept the drill going while I was on the ground, and I was just uttering profanities. She made sure to make them keep going through the drill. They were not allowed to stop to see if I was okay or anything. I had been on the ground for a while longer before she put the cones around me, and how the entire time I was, to me, outwardly in a lot of pain, but nothing had been done about it from her end or from anybody who was able to do anything around me, but that's because they were restricted from doing so. It would have been cool to have some help. Yeah.
The coaches messaged us one night before we had morning practice and told us that we had to be ready to go on the field at 5:30 in the morning. We had practices at, I think it was 6:30 to 7:30. So I think we were going from 5:30 to 7:30. And, oh my gosh, I remember waking up at 4:45. Oh gosh, that's terrible. And we were out on the field, had to be there 15 minutes early to get ready, got ready. And the first thing she had us do was get on the end line and sprint to the 50-yard line and log roll back. 5 times.
I could understand and like justify some of the running or some of the conditioning, but I was like, why are we log rolling? Like, how is that helping us become better lacrosse players? And it was like to a point that people were getting like so dizzy that they were like throwing up.
People were getting up and sprinting to the fence to throw up because we weren't allowed to throw up on the turf. And they were sprinting, throwing up, and then running back and continuing to roll.
With like the log rolls, I think I did pretty good. Not to like hype myself up, but I didn't throw up. A lot of people did throw up, and then the coaches were like, either thought that we were faking or that we were like hungover or something, even though it was like I don't know, it was like probably like a Tuesday or something.
What's the point? Like, if they want us to be better lacrosse players, this is not how they are going to achieve that.
When we were given our game schedule for the spring season, I noticed that one of the games fell on the first night of Passover. And I'm Jewish, and I celebrate Passover every year with my family, and it's really important. And I scheduled a meeting with the assistant coach at the time, and she opened up her calendar and saw that it was senior night, that game. The game was at 5 p.m. And she started guilting me about it and telling me that my teammates would be really disappointed in me for missing it, and asking what time dinner was and if I could go after the game. And I was shocked first that she was even saying any of this stuff to me. Like, my plan was to, I'd go home earlier and be with my family, and I'm not gonna play a game on a holiday. Anyway, then they talked about it to another player behind my back, saying to them, you need to be more proactive, unlike your teammate Leah, who has to skip a game because of Passover.
Something for me that was interesting to navigate was that, so I was a freshman, but the coaches expected higher quality leadership from me. I was part of this like positivity panel that was supposed to do these like tea times where we met with people and like dealt with issues. And I was even told that like if we had to choose, like they would pick me as a captain. And I feel like it says less about like me and more about them. The fact that like they had been here for several years, and like as a coach, like part of your job is to foster leadership. And so if you don't think anybody on your team should be a captain except for this freshman that's come in, like you've kind of failed to do your job for the past 3 years. And like I did feel that, like I think that we lacked upperclassmen leadership, and I think that directly correlates back to the coach.
I think I was expecting the coaches to be more of kind of like a role model to us than what they were. Like, to me, it just felt like I was just there to help them do their job, and they didn't actually care about my well-being. Like, they just cared about my performance, and especially my academic performance and my athletic performance, rather than actually making sure we are doing well in college. We had so many freshmen, and I don't feel like they really helped us assimilate to college at all.
Us as a team, like, we intrinsically want to get better, but we still need coaching. We still need someone to like show us how to improve, because for the most part, like, we are putting in as much effort as we possibly can. When you're just doing the same thing over and over and over again, even if you're putting like all of your heart and soul into it, you're only going to get as good as like you can be on your own. Like, you need these like external supports. Like, you need like scaffolding to get there. And she wasn't willing to do that. Because that wasn't her goal. Her goal wasn't to make us better. It was just to show that she could do whatever she wanted with us, and we would just have to say like, this is fine.
They really got on my case in the fall because I didn't turn in my academic slip in time that we all had to get signed by our professors every week, which was just insane as it is. But I think I forgot to bring it in one time, or it was late or something, and they made me sell twice as many of the $25 hats that we had to sell as a fundraiser. And then they told me that I was responsible for paying for all of them that I couldn't sell. So I had about 20 hats to sell, and if they were $25 each, that was like $500.
I think within that as well, it was like this unrealistic expectation that they had of us. So, like I said before, asking a freshman basically to be a captain, and then just expecting that we are going to put more time than is like humanly possible into this. Like we were expected to fundraise, and if we didn't fundraise, we had to like pay it, or like, I don't know, all the expectations were just way too high. And I think you can have high expectations, but they have to be realistic, because if they're just so out in the outer space universe, like, you're setting the people up for failure then.
At first, I knew something was wrong when it was like, it was fun, but only because the team was fun. It, like, playing lacrosse was also fun, but it was stressing me out so much.
Your team really shouldn't be feeling awful when they're playing with you. They, like, should feel motivated. And even when they, like, are doing things that, like, aren't necessarily what's best, they should still feel motivated to be better.
Once I felt like it was like embodying like my feelings and my life, and like affecting how I like interact with other people, or like my mood, that's when I first felt like something was wrong. But then talking to all of our other teammates who were older, who had unfortunately experienced this for longer than us, it seemed so normal.
Maybe it is somewhat normal on like some college lacrosse teams, and like a lot maybe, but like that's not like that's like that shouldn't be.
Yeah, and you would like assume that like on a team of 25 people or like 30 people, that if something's wrong, at least like someone would voice that something's wrong. And even when people were voicing that something's wrong, there was like this overarching theme of it's like, you better shut your mouth and keep quiet, because if they find out you're saying that, we're going to be in a lot of trouble. So shut up. And that's how it felt. And then you were just like, well, I guess I can't say anything. And you didn't even know how to talk to our coaches. That was the worst part about it, because it was like you were walking on eggshells the entire time. It was like, I don't want to say something that's going to make them mad, so I might as well just say nothing.
There was no way to please her. There was also no way to know what she wanted from us.
Even just the way they would speak was aggressive and mean.
You shouldn't be talked to in that way by anyone.
One time, Michaela asked me to call her, and she picked up the phone and said, "Can you just shut up?" And then I said, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I moved the phone away, and I was like, I was with a group of people, I was with Elizabeth and someone else, and I was like, she just told me to shut up, like, didn't she? And then I like showed them the text, and I was like, she just told me to call her, like, while I was muted, because she like needed a second or something. And then she like came back on, and she was like, "I'm so sorry, but sometimes you just need to shut up." And then kept talking to me and like having a phone call with me. It was bizarre. It was literally so weird.
There were things where I, like, being older now, I recognize that, like, saying things like that isn't necessarily appropriate.
When you treat people like that, it's just evil, especially when you have so much power, and like you've made it so you have so much power over like your emotional and physical and mental well-being. That's when it's really evil.
The run test was starting at goal line extended. We had to sprint to the 25-yard line and back, and there back is one. We had to do that 6 times, and we had to make it back in under 64 seconds. And then we had about a minute break, and then we had to run to the 50-yard line and back, and there and back one. We had to do that 3 times in the same time, 64 seconds. And you had to pass both to pass. And if you passed one and didn't pass the second, it's like you didn't pass at all, and had to run the rest of practice.
So every day you would come to practice, you would run the run test. If you failed, you ran all of practice. The next day you'd come to practice, you'd run the run test. If you failed, you ran. And guess what happened? Our times got worse.
Like most of us had never done anything like that before. That's literally like running for 2 hours straight for 3 days in a row. Like, that's not, unless you're like trained for that, like that's like not like something that most people can handle.
And when our athletic trainer benched half the team, we still had to work out. We had to do abs and stuff for the entire 2 hours if we couldn't run.
Yeah. Half the team was out though. Half the team was out.
Because anyone who went into the training room that day, she benched.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I looked to my left from the field and I saw this huge army of just the rest of my teammates in like their black puffy coats just like marching down to the field. Like everyone was hurt, like 3 or 4 people were on crutches.
I understand the idea of a run test. I think fitness is important when you're playing a sport where you're running up and down the field. But I do think it needs to be realistic. And if people aren't passing it, like I feel the same way about like the mile run test. Running the mile or running that run test over and over and over again helps you a little bit, but it's figuring out, okay, how can I train these certain muscle groups? How can I work on my speed, on my turning? Like there's so many other factors that then affect your ability to perform. But it felt like it was just like a broken record of us continuing to run the run test, and like we couldn't play lacrosse until we passed this run test. But there was no support in passing it. It just was like, you're gonna do it until you pass, but like maybe we'll never pass. And so then what was the reason?
She came over to me and they were redoing the run test, and she had this piece of paper, and it was like, oh, this is the piece of paper that I have. I wrote down everyone who I think is gonna pass this. And she was like, do you want to see it? And I was like, yes. She handed it to me, and it had every single person's name written down as not going to pass. Like she wrote out pass, might pass, will not pass, and every single person's name was under the will not pass. And that just really showed to me that like this was all about power and not making ourselves like better athletes. Like she wasn't expecting us to be successful in this, and she wasn't giving us the tools to be successful in this. She just wanted to show that like she had power over us.
I was really close to making it, and then I asked to do it again.
They said to everybody, if you pass the first one, get on the line and you can run the second one again. That's what they said. I was told that I passed it, even though I don't think I did. So I got on the line. A senior at the time got on the line, and Matt got on the line. And so they said go, blew the whistle, and we ran and we did it. And everybody was cheering us on, and obviously none of us passed because we were already so tired from running the entire run test. And they called the 3 of us over and said,
I'm going to say that you guys passed because you got back on the line, which shows your commitment and dedication to this team, and everyone else who didn't get on the line, well, go ahead and run.
I skipped that day.
Even though the direction was only if you passed the first one. So she acted like the people who got back on the line were trying harder than the ones who didn't, and then let them pass even though they didn't pass. And then we ran.
That's not fair. Like if they, like why do we get to pass?
So we just got basically like hella gaslit.
This comparison of people, I felt was like their way to be like, you're being lazy, you're not pushing through.
It wasn't even like the conditioning. There was also like so much verbal abuse from them.
Then they start talking about and blabbering about their time at Parkville Adaptive and doing things for people who have disabilities and how good it makes them feel so they can have a pat on their back and how great they feel. And then they're like, you guys should be grateful for your arms and legs. And I'm like, you're a dick, because I have one hand and I keep doing whatever I can. Yeah, I'm pulling it out for the video. I have one hand. I keep doing whatever I can to get practice. I am grateful. I've been grateful my whole life because I was born like this. You don't know anything about me, and you're telling me that I should be grateful for something that I've known since the day I was born? Shut the fuck up, because you really don't know anything, and you're wrong, and you're absolutely wrong. And so then they say that, and I started crying, like immediately. Like I already started crying because I was so angry. Like I'm not great sometimes at being angry, because then I sometimes like I get so mad I'll start to cry. But then it was time to run, so I was like, wipe my tears, kept on running. And then it came to the end of practice, and then they started belittling us about running for men's attention and how all of our boyfriends were standing over there and we better run faster for the men who are watching us. And I was just like, that's terrible. Then I walked up to them after practice and I was like, I need to talk to you guys about something like that you said. Like, can I please come to your office with you? And I burst into tears when I got to the office. And I told them exactly how that made me feel. I was like, I don't know why you would say that to me. You have no respect for me, clearly. Like, what will you do to change this? Like, I can't do this. Like, that was so disrespectful. You clearly have no idea, like, or have no, like, emotional intelligence to how that would make me feel. Someone you're supposed to respect and love and treat well. And then they said, you should write us a list of how we can not offend you anymore in regards to, like, you having one hand. Like, write us a list of things to tell you how not to be offended by what we say. Like, how we couldn't offend you by saying these things. And I was like, are you being serious? And they said, yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I was like, I'm never writing that list.
I just remember like thinking like, why did I choose to do this?
We were all miserable. We were running the whole practice. Nobody wanted to be there. They were yelling at us as we were running, saying that if we're able to talk, then we're not running fast enough or hard enough. I mean, yeah, it fucking sucked. Morale was super low. Nobody wanted to do this. We all hated each other, but that wasn't true. We didn't hate each other. We just hated our lives at that point, and like our lives within lacrosse.
We had some members on the team with asthma who would have asthma attacks, and it was not seen as something where it needed to be stopped.
She didn't believe that asthma was real, essentially.
Going through some of those drills and just watching them like try their absolute hardest, but having to stop for having an asthma attack and then being screamed at as a result that they're not trying or they're not pushing themselves hard enough. No, that was horrible to watch.
If we were running and we had an asthma attack, you basically went off the field, took your inhaler, and continued running.
I remember Kat specifically, because she had really bad asthma. There's this one time that you guys were doing the run test, and she was having this really, really bad asthma attack, and they were like telling her to like keep going, and like she couldn't because she couldn't breathe. And I remember she was like sort of like hunched over, like trying to like get herself to breathe, and the one assistant coach, who I won't name, was just standing there laughing.
I took my inhaler 6 times because I had so many asthma attacks, and you're not allowed to do that, like medically, so then I accidentally got high off of my inhaler and had to go to the athletic training office.
You're pushing yourself maybe even past what you physically can do.
No one thinks that not breathing is okay or good or fun. It's one of those things where like, you know it's bad.
You should be able to look out for yourself and look out for your body, and everybody, I know in the back of their head has that mindset, but the one that we were forced to have is more like, we're doing this for the greater good of everything in the world, and like, we're going to be the best lacrosse team of all time and the best D3 team anyone has ever seen and blah blah blah. But like, come on, man, like sometimes you need to breathe.
And that was the one thing when anyone was having a problem, especially with injuries, it was always the team first. Like, the team always had to look after each other.
There's only so much you can do besides be there as somebody for one of your teammates to walk up to and put their arms on when they needed to like breathe, and you weren't allowed to sit down on the ground, or you weren't allowed to like kneel over. You had to stand up.
I think that's one of the reasons why like we became so close, because it was like we had to be.
It's not like a bad thing to do things like that, because if you make a mistake, like you like sometimes like learning the hard way is like how you learn, but just like that like mushed in with everything else was just it was terrible.
There's 14 of us sitting out of practice. We meet later that night, and we're in the locker room, and we say every bad thing that's ever happened.
The coaches were not aware of it.
Gabby, who was a junior at the time, was taking notes, and the Google Doc was like 6 pages long.
And really just showed me that they were just not good people at all, and we had to do something about it.
We all agreed that the next practice, so the next day, Saturday morning, we knew they were going to make us run the run test again. And at the end, if nobody passes, and they say get on the line in the corner and start running, we would all tell them that we wanted to run it again to show that we are putting in effort. And so we did that, and we said we wanted to get back on the line, and we got back on the line, and we ran it a second time. We were exhausted. And she said, get in the corner and start running.
Thus, the letter is born. The letter is one of the most positive, but also one of the most negative experiences I've ever had in my life.
We were all very respectful of each other, and we all made sure that everything we wrote in the letter was something that every single person agreed with.
I liked when we wrote the letter. I thought that was really a good tool, because also writing is reflecting.
My roommate, Alex, volunteered to write the letter, which was a good choice because she was a very good writer, and I think she wrote that thing in maybe 2 hours, and it was 10 pages long.
Then it's presented to them during a practice time. We asked to meet with them before.
And so we're sitting in the classroom upstairs in the SRC, and we start reading them the letter. And then I don't even know how far we get into it, but eventually they start crying, and then one of them leaves. The other one stays for a little bit, but then eventually they both leave.
Our former coach stayed maybe not even before finishing the first page.
And then our GA
stayed there pretty much, I think, until the end.
No, she left another 1 minute later. The only one that stayed till the end was our goalie coach.
Because she didn't know that they were leaving. She was on the phone. We called her in.
She also didn't do anything wrong, so.
No, she didn't.
Both of them left in distress, basically how dare you do this, sobbing, stormed out, didn't let us finish.
I recognize that it's hard to hear critiques about yourself, but I don't think that it was anything, they weren't personal attacks. It was just, we think that this is inappropriate. We would prefer if you do this.
I just remember sitting there after they had both left, and we were all okay, now what do we do?
What's going on? What's gonna happen?
I don't think anybody expected the reaction that we got. And so I think we all left kind of uncertain. And then the text messages started coming in. I was one of the first people to receive a text. I remember being in the dining hall and receiving it and then being did anybody else get a text message? And maybe one other person had gotten text messages at that point. And being do I go? Do I not go? And then how the night progressed, where they slowly invited other people and had individual meetings with everybody, but kind of met with people based on how much they wanted them to continue on the team.
So the team was talking to each other, and we all decided to go to the locker room to figure out what was happening. So we all sat there all night.
Everyone had different times, but they didn't send everyone a text all at once. So only specific, at first only certain people got a text, and eventually mine came in.
The people in the beginning were the athletes who were guaranteed to stay on the team.
Yeah.
Maybes, and then kickoff, and then we don't even want to have a meeting with them.
I walked to the SRC feeling pretty confident, oh, okay, this is going to be a good and productive meeting. They cared what we had to say. They just got a little emotional and left. That's fine. They want to meet with us personally to talk about it.
I tell them all my issues, and I'm it's really sitting badly with me the way you treated me the other day. Invalidating my emotions. And they're we'll change. Don't worry, we'll change. And I'm okay, fine, I'll stay on the team.
They were okay, we have 2 questions. are you committed to the team, and are you committed to the coaching staff?
And I remember being like, yes, but, and they're like, no buts, no buts. And then I kept just repeating like I am dedicated to the team, but there needs to be some change. And they kind of at a certain point were like, yes, yeah, like we get it, we'll change. And so then leaving the meeting, I was like, oh, okay, they received some things. But then as the night progressed, that was definitely not the case.
I even said, it was like, it's really hard to have to watch them like cry every single day. Like, I really dislike that, but I like love the team. Of course I'm committed to them. And they were like, are you committed to the coaching staff? And I said, if you guys are the coaching staff, I guess I'm committed to the coaching staff. And they were like, that's not good enough. And I said, fine, I'm committed to the coaching staff.
I just wanted to experience what college lacrosse was going to be like, and I didn't want that taken away from me. Like, I didn't want these people to take away one of the reasons why I came to Goucher.
Then Jill, who's a first year, one of the goalies, she came out of her meeting crying,
saying how much she hates them, like they're like how mean they are to her, like how like what just happened. Basically, like she was like crying, so she didn't really get many words out. But she was basically just like saying how mean they were and that she quit.
I never got a text, so I actually never had a meeting.
After my meeting, it was probably like 10 p.m. at night, and some people still haven't gotten text messages.
I just remember like staying in the locker room while every person would come back in, and some people would cry, some people would just look so upset, some people would smile. And that just like really broke me as a person. I remember breaking down and just crying like in the locker room while people were quitting.
I remember one of the people that stayed was literally laying on someone's lap on the locker room floor crying. Everyone was crying. So then me and 5 other people were like, that's it, we quit. So we went upstairs. I wish we said more. We didn't. We went upstairs and we went in and basically just said we quit.
All they said was to clean out our lockers.
One of our other teammates, I remember her telling me this afterwards, said she ended up quitting, but they asked her, like, because at this point they were down to like not a full team. And it was her meeting.
Have, like 10.
Yeah, it was her meeting, and they asked her if she was committed to the team, and she said, I'm committed to the team that was on the team starting this morning, and if that's not the team, then I quit.
After that, it's a very quick decline into absolute chaos. Crying, sitting in the locker room, a group of people quitting.
By the time the meetings were over, 12 people quit, I think. I think it was 12.
And then we had practice the next morning. Practice from hell.
We were in the lower gym. It was a morning practice, and they were like, okay, we'll have a later morning practice. And all they did was play games. Like, not anything related to lacrosse, just games.
They were very much like, oh, that happened, like this is the team we have now, like let's move on, we're not gonna talk about it. Where everybody, you could tell, just like was distraught. Like, it was the weirdest practice. And then after the practice ended, me and 2 other teammates tried to go and talk to them again and like be like, we can't, like this is causing us so much stress, and we don't want to be part of this team with our other teammates aren't there. But it was this constant like gaslighting of everything that we were saying, and like not allowing us to like express, and it just felt like we couldn't leave, we couldn't quit.
And then the Andrew Wu conversation happened.
I kind of remember him being like really shocked, like, oh my god, all of this was happening and I had no idea. I think I remember him asking like, what do you want me to do? Like, how should I intervene? Because we already tried to intervene and she wasn't receptive towards us. So if she I guess had to have been receptive towards her boss.
He said, raise your hand if you would rejoin the team if you had a new coach.
Yeah.
Or rejoin or stay on the team if you had a new coach.
Yes,
and every person raised
their hand.
After that, we're sort of like, well, there really is another option.
It's almost like physical proof that we were overcoming something, and that was like a very like tangible way of saying like, we're drawing the line and we're setting a boundary with you. And if you don't respect that boundary, then that's absolutely on you. But like the 30 of us teenage girls are willing to set the boundary. And if you can't be okay with that, then you need to get out. And they got fired.
She was packing her stuff up in boxes and like crying as she walked out of the SRC.
They really made their bed with that one. You can't kick off most of the people on your team and expect to keep your job.
And then that's when I knew that she got fired.
And the whole goal wasn't to like get her fired or anything.
The goal was just that we wanted the team to be better. Like we wanted to have a better experience, and we wanted to be treated better, and we wanted to be playing safely, and like make sure that like we were in a safe environment to play the game that we loved.
I wasn't happy at all, but I think it was the right decision.
And that was like a pretty good moment, like just being able to like finally play lacrosse again.
Now we have to like run our own practices. How are we going to do that? We still needed some type of like adult there.
We kept trying to get towards season and play that game that was in a week, which was impressive.
Trying to like just bounce back in many ways from, because we also hadn't been practicing because we'd been running the freaking run test every day.
We needed a coach, so the men's lacrosse coach stepped up and said that he would coach us for our game.
For me, it was just about bringing positive energy, and trying to, again, have somebody there that hopefully, the players could trust and just see that somebody believed in them and wanted to, help them out and move them forward, in that transition period.
It was intense. He is a very passionate man about lacrosse.
Mrs. Kelly was telling us how he like stayed up and watched like women's lacrosse film and like was really trying to understand women's lacrosse like before he came in for his first day as our coach.
Not having a deep background of women's lacrosse other than coaching my daughter's team in youth lacrosse at one point in time and watching the game for years and years and years, I knew I could step in and help.
It was nice to see someone like care on our behalf, and like he wanted us to be better, like for us, not for himself, and that was just really, really nice. And I really appreciate him.
Men's lacrosse is obviously very different from women's. BK was telling us to do certain things that would get us yellow cards, so it's whatever. It's our first game. We were just trying to have fun at that point. Like our crazy coach was gone. We were like, oh, God bless. So, I mean, it was fun. I remember that. I had fun playing.
The fact that we got 8 yellow cards, that was like the most in the NCAA at the time or something.
He got so mad at the ref that he broke a clipboard. I
was not a very good women's lacrosse coach, but I tried to bring the energy.
Also, at that point, anybody who was kind to us, we were like, you're the best ever. Because we had been through so much shit, it was like we were ready just to be cared for, even just a little bit.
And then after that, they eventually found our new coach. She was great.
I just remember feeling like relief. Like it was such this sense of relief, I feel like, for everyone, that like it wasn't just on us anymore. Like we weren't the people in charge.
Once the former coach left, we had a good ass season.
It's different because of the way people are being treated and how they feel about themselves. That's really very indicative.
That, I mean, definitely made our class stronger. I mean, we're like the last class who had to go through that and who had her as a coach.
I don't think we give ourselves credit for that period of time without a coach, because we really had to figure it all out for ourselves.
People like put things in amber to like keep them, like preserve them. I feel like that's almost like a preserved time period in my life.
Every time I think back to freshman year and everything that happened that we went through, it doesn't seem real, but at the same time, I feel in awe of us. Like, I think it's just so cool that now we're seniors here, and there's 6 of us that have continued from that first class of freshmen. And we're freaking strong. Like, we're freaking strong individuals to have continued through a pandemic, through a coach being fired, and just like everything else. Like, we're a tough group.
Like, what our freshman class went from 14 to 6. I couldn't have asked for a better senior class to end like our college career with.
We're like a family.
The 5 of the people that I'm surrounded by are some of the most strong and powerful women that I've ever met.
I do remember feeling trepidatious because it was a lot. It was a lot to handle. And also I feel like we sort of absorbed this idea of that we're underdogs and like we can't win. Or it's like we have to prove everyone wrong. Like, everyone's gonna think we're shit. So then we have to come out and really prove them wrong, which can be helpful and can get good results. Like, genuinely, like we won games that were hard to win. And we gave people who have always thought that they were better than us and always thought we were just a shit team a wake-up call. It's like, actually, no, you can't just expect this to be a cakewalk. And that's impressive in itself. And that was not only driven by Coach Sarah, but that was driven by us and like our want to show you it doesn't matter if we have a coach or no coach. It doesn't matter if we're being run ragged all day. Like, we're still going to win, and we're still going to give you a run for your money, which was very, 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 it was awesome. It was awesome. It was great. I loved it.
You guys went through a lot your freshman year with the coaching change. And then sophomore year, we were like off to this great start. And everyone was working really hard in the fall and getting in really good shape. And then COVID happened. And like, you guys had so much taken from you.
To see the commitment level and the group continue to stay together and finish what you started is just, I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. It's an amazing story.
I'm just very proud of this team, and I think that this senior class has really left a legacy for the rest of the incoming classes. And I think that we are going to be remembered for like standing up for ourselves, and just for the grit and passion that we have for the game and for each other. There's like this very strong sense of loyalty.
I really enjoyed being on the team and just being able to meet these like amazing women that I get to play a sport that I love with.
Just a lot that we've been through together, so.
Hello.